It's time for Worlds Collide Las Vegas. And it's cool to hear Corey Graves again. I was kind of done with Booker on commentary during SmackDown after the first match. Anyway, we start as usual with Rey Mysterio and the rest of the AAA WWE crew. Aida Cuevas sings the anthem of Mexico, I think. I have many opinions on it when it comes to anthems, but this isn't for now. I guess the anthem being sung at every event was part of their buyout for AAA. Lilian Garcia then sings the American anthem, and you know what? This makes sense. It makes it feel like a proper sport compared to all those American football matches where they always sing the American anthem and, well, the teams don't really have their own music. Lady La Peña, for some reason, seems to be singing both anthems, the Mexican and the American one. I doubt she knows the American one, but it's nice to see the respect she has. A proper lady in her own right. Penta comes to the ring dressed in a suit. More time being wasted, of course. Penta speaks in Spanish. The subtitles don't work, of course. There's no subtitles made by the Fed. And I have no nice things to say about this. Later on, Conan translates what Penta said, and he says Penta's gonna be looking for the, what was it again? The Mega Championship. Bah. Anyway, the first match is Laredo Kid, Mascarita Sagrada, La Parca, and Octagon Jr. against Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde from Latino World Order, Lince Dorado, and Mini Abismo Negro. I think Mini Abismo Negro worked both AEW and WWE, or at least the guy behind the mask, which is kind of funny. It's a very lucha match with many lucha things, some botches here and there, and Mascarita looked on as his team was being taken out with a slingshot, springboard, moonsault, whatever. Never mind. Laredo Kid, Mascarita Sagrada, La Parca, and Octagon Jr. win. 3 out of 5 stars. It's a very lucha match. Quite enjoyable and fun. It has some mistakes here and there, but it was quite a good opener. Next we have Fabi Apache versus Natalia. We get a vignette between these two, and it was quite decent. We got to see Natty instead of Natalia, and this version of Natalia should be the one used on the main roster of the Fed. If you put the title on Nia Jax, then Natty deserves it tenfold, 10 times more. And this really is a match between wrestling veterans. Natalia wins, and it's well deserved. 3.5 stars out of 5. It's really good to see these veterans at work, and after the match, they have some confrontation at sorts, which makes it clear that Fabi and Natty are not quite done with each other. We get a Saudi WrestleMania ad, and the crowd is chanting "You sold out." Kinda late there, boys. Kinda late there, buddy. You should have said that when TKO got them. And Vince was there no more. Yeah. Kinda late to cry about that now. It's time to see Pagano and Psycho Clown against the New Day. Initially it was Kofi Kingston and what was his name? Xavier Woods, whatever. But he got replaced with Grayson Waller because Woods got injured or something. And it's for the AAA tag team titles. I wrote here triple titles, which makes no sense. Doesn't matter. I'm not a fan of the New Day, but this match was a nice mix of proper crazy lucha from Pagano and Psycho Clown and the classic Fed style of wrestling. Conan is still using words like heel on commentary, which is just wrong. It's basically breaking the fourth wall in a movie that doesn't need to. Whatever. I knew I liked Pagano and Psycho Clown the first time I saw them during the first Worlds Collide match, and they are exceptional when it comes to working this. They end up winning, of course, and it's a 3 stars out of 5. It could have been better, but it was again another decent match. And it seems there will be a promo from these two, but the Wyatt Six come out and they put the beating on the two wrong. AAA stars. That's what I meant to say. AAA stars. Which really builds a nice feud in my opinion. Hopefully, Pagano and Psycho Clown are gonna win, but we'll see. Next we have Lola Vice and Mr. Iguana versus the Judgment Day. Finn Balor and Roxanne Perez with Raquel Rodriguez. Here's the funny thing. They're not coming alone. This should be a trios match at this point. Because Mr. Iguana, of course, has his Iguana. And then Finn Balor comes with Demonito. Which, it's a trios match at this point. Just, let's be honest. Iguana puts away the bag with Demonito under the ring at some point to get rid of that problem. Later on, Lola Vice tags in and Finn stays there instead of, going back and letting Roxanne come in the ring. And he's like, oh, all tough and stuff. And then he gets scared of a woman that's shorter than him. Pure cringe. Absolute cringe. Roxanne Perez also gets scared of Lola because, why not? At some point, JBO mentions Finn is the founder of the Bullet Club. Quite impressive to see it mentioned on a WWE event. Amazing, to be honest. At some point, Demonito comes from under the ring. You never see the guy that stays there because there's a guy under the ring that does stuff. You never see him. So it's nice that he gets some action at this point. Finn tells the puppet is dangerous and he could get hurt and shoves him back under the ring. At the end, Lola Vice and Mr. Iguana win 3 out of 5 stars. Quite a good comedy match and it was kind of fun in its own right. Okay, not the most impressive spectacle, but it was fun. Now it's time for the 4-way match. El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr. versus Dragon Lee, Ethan Page, and JD McDonough. This one is going to be promising because all of those 4 are amazing talents. It's going to be a great spectacle. Dr. Wagner is fantastic during the match, exactly what you expect from someone with that bloodline. And Cody Song is kind of correct. There's more than one royal family when it comes to wrestling. And it ain't the McMahons or the Rhodes. And they're all doctors. Surprising, right? Anyway, moving on. Dragon Lee again is impressive, and he does some nice moves against JD and Page. Page is his usual self, an opportunistic, arrogant heel. JD, on the other hand, is really doing everything he can to show he can be on par with his opponents, and he can shine. And all 4 of these guys put out a great spectacle of a match. It is amazing. It's amazing. It's a good match. I really recommend it. And I'm not a big fan of 4-way matches, to tell you the truth. Of course, this is for the Latin American Championship, and El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr. doesn't lose his title. He wins after pinning JD. Quite a fantastic match. Of course, a cluster is true. It's a 4-way match. What can you expect? But it's a 4 stars out of 5. Pure quality that showed the best that all 4 of them had to offer. And now, are you ready for the main event? El Hijo del Vikingo versus Dominic Mysterio. People boo Vikingo as he's coming out to the ring, so there's nothing new there. And I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't big into Vikingo, not when he did those matches in AEW, in TNA back in the day. But he seems to work well with Dom, and that works. Dom at some point does the 3 Amigos, though during the last Amigo, Vikingo gets out of the hold and Dom chops him and finishes the series, which I really have no idea why that happened or was needed as a spot. Never mind. Vikingo, I think, tries a rock bottom or something, but Dom is too tall and the move fails. Of course, Vikingo recovers with a super kick. Logically, when in doubt, use a super kick. That seems to be the motto for wrestling in general. The way the crowd goes, you would think Dom is the face, but he's not. Some near falls here and there. After another 2 count, JD and Finn come to the ring to help Dom. JD with his big headbutt to Vikingo while Finn is distracting the ref. Dom slams Vikingo, kick out of 2, of course. Dom puts on his mask, and while JD is distracting the ref, Finn gives Dominic like a tiny weight thing. I never understood what that was supposed to be. I just think it's a tiny weight you put in the mask. Doesn't matter. That happens. Dom put it in his mask and Vikingo super kicks him. Talk about backfiring. Dragon Lee comes to stop the Judgment Day, but he isn't enough. Rey Mysterio then comes to help his protege. But Rey didn't come empty-handed. He brought a chair, which is quite a nice idea. Vikingo gets a laid out Dom and drags him to the corner. As he climbs the ropes, the fans are booing him. And then he does like a 630 splash, or is the 450 Swanton, whatever. I think I saw 2 rotations there. Anyway, the ref prepares to count, but El Grande Americano drags the ref from the ring. Dom then with a 619 and then a frog splash, and there is no ref to count it for a few seconds. But one runs out from the back. 1, 2, kick out. And the fans are disappointed. They are chanting, "Ref, you suck." Nice. I agree with that sentiment. Poison Rana on Dom. El Grande is looking for something in his pocket, and Vikingo then goes to try to rip his mask off. The ref gets in there trying to stop Vikingo from assaulting the wrestling legend. El Grande then slips the weight without the ref or Vikingo noticing. Dom puts it in his mask, running jumping headbutt from Dom, another frog splash, clear count, and Dom wins and becomes the AAA Mega Champion. Two-bell Dom. Ray comes in, Dom tells his deadbeat to put a title on, and for some moments Ray hesitates, and you would think he would hit his son with the belt, but no, he puts it on. The Judgment Day then comes to the ring to celebrate. El Grande joins in, and Dom and El Grande hug it out while Finn looks with discontent at them. And all the other members of the Judgment Day aren't quite sure of what they're looking at. 5 out of 5 stars. Sure, there were interferences, but this got Dragon Lee more time, so can't complain about that. And it's never a bad day to see Ludwig work. And you know what? At the end of the day, those interferences, for once, helped the match to its current point. It helped the match to be a good match, if that makes any sense. And let's be honest, there are quite a few things building. More tensions in the Judgment Day. Probably a match between Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio for the Mega Championship. They iterated the fact that Rey never won the Mega Championship, and let's be honest, I think at this point all the titles Rey won in AAA are defunct. They no longer exist. So that's interesting, but it doesn't matter. It builds up to those stories, and it's quite nice. And overall, this is the best show of the week in my opinion. 4 out of 5 stars. A must watch if you want to see a lucha spectacle with many lucha things. It's quite good and I really recommend it.